Chapter 16 of the Lotus Sutra describes a specific physical paradox. When living beings see great fires burning, this land of mine is tranquil and calm. This claim places two mutually exclusive states, a landscape of thermodynamic fire and a ground of perfect tranquility, in the exact same physical coordinates. Traditional analysis often treats these verses as poetic metaphors for subjective illusion or a strategy for psychological detachment from physical suffering. This video treats the verse as a literal description of system dynamics, viewing the tranquil ground as optimal system calibration within reality's flux. Reverse engineering this paradox reveals the biological mechanics allowing these two perceptions of the same environment to exist simultaneously. Within this framework, equanimity functions as a state of high-performance cognitive homeostasis, occurring when the mind and its physical environment are treated as a single, unified system. Locating the bedrock of sentient experience requires shifting focus from abstract metaphysics to the microscopic scale of cellular life. The hard problem of consciousness typically assumes that subjective experience is a bonus feature, appearing only in complex nervous systems, creating a gap between mind and matter. Arthur Reber's model of cellular consciousness suggests a different starting point. Sentience is the basic capacity of any living system to register and respond to environmental change. When an amoeba detects a chemical gradient and adjusts its movement, it demonstrates sentience at its minimal, functional expression. This registration of change is what Buddhism calls Vedana, or feeling tone, a biological gradient detector that tracks sensory contact as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. In a universe of constant change, a system that cannot register and respond to its environment is a dead system. Impermanence serves as the structural condition that makes sentience a necessary strategy for survival. This biological system operates in two modes: the functional registration of feeling tones and the secondary mode of reactivity. Dissatisfaction, or dukkha, describes a chronic state of biological dysregulation where the system becomes trapped in its own reactions. Craving acts as a system overshoot while pursuing the pleasant. Aversion functions as an overcorrection while recoiling from the unpleasant. Both states move the organism out of balance with its conditions. While often mistaken for composure, states like apathy and indifference are actually forms of withdrawal, a flat line in the signal that fails to engage with the environment. True equanimity functions as homeostasis, a high-velocity engagement with experience that registers the arising and passing of conditions without becoming destabilized by them. This state represents system health, achieved when the sentient system accurately registers reality without adding the distortion of reactivity. If reality is defined by continuous flux, the question arises, what ground does this homeostatic balance actually stand on? Modern attempts to answer this usually rely on reducing the mind to matter or creating a hierarchy of levels of reality. These frameworks fail to bridge the gap because they maintain a separation between the physical substrate and the subjective observer. Ge's 6th century threefold truth addresses this by collapsing the architecture of the mental and physical into a single mutually contained whole. In this model, reality is simultaneously empty of inherent existence and conventionally real through cause and effect. These truths contain each other so perfectly that no seam exists between them. This removes the need for a fundamental level of matter or a higher level of mind, viewing the two as a seamless arising of conditioned reality. Equanimity becomes possible because its stability is derived from the same impermanence to which it responds. The fire and the tranquility are the same reality, seen with different calibrations. This unified architecture dictates how the system functions when it encounters the world. The four braras, or divine abodes, are traditionally taught as separate virtues. However, they can be viewed as different modes of a single sentient capacity. Metta, or loving-kindness, acts as the foundational biological orientation, the affirmative posture of sentience toward existence before any specific conditions are registered. When this foundational pulse meets suffering, it registers as compassion. When it meets flourishing, it registers as sympathetic joy. Equanimity occurs when the system scales this affirmative posture to the entire field of flux, requiring no specific condition to be present to maintain its internal balance. This maturation of love stops requiring the universe to provide specific results, allowing the system to maintain its orientation across all possible conditions. Returning to the Lotus Sutra, the biological and metaphysical mechanics explored clarify why the paradox holds. The burning land and the tranquil ground occupy the same coordinate space. The rendering of the environment depends on the calibration of the observer moving through it. When sentience is dysregulated by craving and aversion, the resulting distortion registers the field as a world on fire. When the observer recovers accurate calibration, the same coordinates register as the tranquil ground. The father at the door of the burning house is fully embedded in the danger, yet he can act effectively because his internal response is not itself on fire. The burning beings and tranquil ground are two ways of registering the exact same physical space. This system dynamic redefines the purpose of contemplative practice. Ultimately, awakening functions as a way to live within the flux of impermanence, rather than acting as an escape from it. Practice serves as a biological recalibration protocol, the continuous refinement of sentience responding to a world in flux. The pure land is never destroyed. The fires burn. The land is tranquil and calm. These statements describe single reality from the perspective of a system that has stopped requiring the universe to be permanent. Ultimately, this functional equanimity provides the capacity to be fully engaged with the fire while remaining firmly